Hello, it's Neil Ball here from Work with Neil Ball, and today I'm going to look at a piece of software that I use quite a bit, which is Hide My Ass Pro VPN. A lot of people want to hide or change their IP address online possibly for more privacy, or to get around an IP block, or maybe you're doing some online marketing and you're submitting a lot of content with an automated tool. And you want to use different IP addresses to maximize your success rate in doing what you're doing. There are a number of solutions and ways of doing this. Sort of, you can get free solutions and you can also get paid solutions. The free solutions often revolve around identifying or finding a proxy server and hoping that proxy server is going to work well. If you're doing things on a bigger scale, you may well have to scrape lots of IP addresses for different proxy servers, and using something like a piece of software from Scrapebox, and you then have to test it all, and often you'll find that these kinds of connections are not that reliable, and they're also intermittent, so something that works one day all of a sudden just stops working. The alternative to that is to use a paid service, and the paid services again are a better solution because the IP addresses are not abused like the free IP addresses are. But there are a number of limitations, or I found there's a number of limitations, especially if you're using it for online marketing. They're quite often difficult to interface with software because the IP address sometimes involves going to a website to change the IP address. And so you can't automatically change it with a piece of automation software, or not easily. The way I've got around this is to use Hide My Ass Pro VPN, which is a fantastic piece of software, and it's the best solution that I found over the years of doing lots of automated submissions. Hide My Ass have a massive number of IP addresses. In fact, they've got about in excess of 41,000 IP addresses, and this number's increasing over time. They operate with 350 VPN servers, which are in 52 countries around the world. I don't think there's a continent that they're not on. They've got servers in Europe, Oceania, Africa, North America, Central America, South America, and Asia, and they're adding servers all the time. So using Hide My Ass saves a huge amount of time over manually scraping, and is a lot more reliable. So really, as far as Hide My Ass is concerned, the main reasons for wanting to use it would be that it's more reliable, it's more stable, and it's also faster. And the other thing is that the IP addresses don't tend to have been as abused as much as the free IP addresses that you may scrape. And another thing about them is that they aren't detectable in the same way as the free ones. You'll quite often find with the free ones that some of the more switched on websites are able to identify that you're using a proxy server, and because of that they will still block you even though you're not using your IP address directly. Where Hide My Ass Pro VPN differs is that it uses a connection which is encrypted, and unlike the other services, because it's using a secure VPN tunnel between your PC and the server in the country that you've elected to use, they can't actually see your connection to that server, because the server itself is actually in the country that you're intending to use for your IP address. And the VPN Pro or Pro VPN, the Hide My Ass Pro VPN, it works by basically installing a piece of client software on your PC, and that piece of software then communicates with the various servers that are in the Hide My Ass network of servers around the world. And that way it gives you a totally secure and anonymous connection to the internet, and allows you to do whatever it is you're wanting to do with the connection. So what I'll do now is I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of the software and how easy it is to use. The actual installation of the software is a very simple process, which I'm going to go through now. It's like installing any piece of software, really. There's nothing special or difficult about installing the software. It's very, very straightforward, and the great thing about it is that it just gives you so much functionality, which is really useful, which I'll demonstrate in a second. So here we go. I'm just going through the process of installing it, which doesn't take long at all, as you can see. It's now finished the installation. I stopped recording whilst it did it, but it's now back on. So as you can see, the screen's saying it's completed here, and it's just a question of clicking next and finish. And it will now start the application. I'll just bring it into the window so that you can see it. And there it is. It's on. It's a very simple process to install and set up, and all it's requiring now is a username and a password. Now, what I'll do is I'll just put my username and password in. I'm sure you don't want to see my username and password, so I shall take it out of the recording area whilst I do that. And there we have it. It's now connected. So there we go. It really is so simple. It might sound complicated when you start talking about pieces of client software on your PC and things, but in reality, it's just a piece of software you stick on your machine. It connects to their servers, and away you go. So just a few things I'll run through with this whilst I've got it on here. As you can see, it's a very easy to use dashboard. There's a few bits and pieces on here. Currently, I'm in the UK, so you can see my original IP address, and you can also see the new IP address. So it's already up and running and it's working. It's also got in here, you've got all sorts of settings that you can set up. So there's a load balancing set up here, and what that's for is that if you decide to use a server that's got a certain number of users already on there, and the usage is such that it's not going to give you a very reliable service, then it'll switch to a different server automatically, and you set the number here as to the percentage that you want to you're prepared to accept as a quality of service. And after that, it will automatically always give you that quality of service, and if it can't find that quality of service on the server that it's using, it will switch to the nearest server that's available that will give you that quality of service. So that's quite a useful feature, because it means that you're not actually you end up hung on a server which is giving you a poor performance, which is affecting everything that you do. You've also got on here the ability to change the location, or the servers in the particular country, or the location in the country that you've selected. So for example here, in fact these are all UK, no they're all of them, actually that's wrong. So basically you get a full drop down of all the different servers that they've got around the world, and as you can see there's many of them. As I mentioned before, there's 350 servers or whatever the quantity was I said at the time, and that's one way of selecting them, which is not the easiest way of selecting them. But if you decide you want to take the next one down in a different location, then you can do that very easily. An easier way to select them is to use the country selection option at the side here, and with that, what that gives you is it'll then give you everything sort of grouped together in an easier to follow way. So you can see all the American ones are there, and then and you've got the Canadian ones, the British ones, Netherlands. There's servers all around the world. It's quite incredible. In fact, they've got a map overview here which shows all the servers, and these are obviously all the locations of the various servers everywhere. So you can see it's quite a widespread collection of servers that they've got everywhere. And if you want to change to a different country, so currently I'm in the UK, you can actually very easily just say, well, I want to work from Phoenix in Arizona, and you'll see now that this has come up on the screen saying that it's changing the country. So it's a very, very quick process. It's just going through the change right now. Usually takes about 20 to 30 seconds, I think, to change to a different server. And once it's changed, it'll come up with a message saying that it's now connected to a different IP address, and it'll even tell you the IP address. There you go. So my new IP address is 23.19.56.49, and I'm, for all intents and purposes, working from the USA in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a fantastic. It's a fantastic service. The other great thing it's got is this, which is the 10 closest servers, which is quite a good feature, because what it'll do is it'll make sure that it always picks from 10 of these, and each of those locations have a number of IP addresses associated with each server. So by rotating those, if you're using automated submission software, then it can be quite useful to have a random selection of 10 servers which have all got multiple IP addresses. So the chances of you ever using the same IP address very frequently on the same site is very slim. In fact, the other thing with this software is that each time you actually log in, or each time you connect to the service, it'll give you a different IP address to the IP address that you previously used, which really helps to sort of increase your anonymity online and make sure that you're always, as anonymous as you can be, if that's something that's important to you in whatever you're using it for. So once you're actually online and you've got this thing connected, you'll find that your online identity is very well masked behind all these anonymous IP addresses, which are within the Hide My Ass network. And the other thing is the security is a great thing on this as well, because you're actually connecting to the servers with a secure VPN connection, and what that means is that everything you do online is actually encrypted and essentially anonymous. The encrypted connection is almost like a tunnel from your machine to the server. So everything that you do is virtually as secure as you can make it. I mean, they're using sort of government levels of security with 128-bit encryption to make sure that you really have got a first-class service there. Now, as far as changing the IP address goes, I showed you one way of doing it. If at any point you decide you just want to change your IP address, then in the dashboard there's a button here, and you can just press that button. And what it'll do now is it'll again go through the process that I showed you before, where I selected a different country, and it'll change the IP address. And within 20 to 30 seconds, it'll be on a new server. There we go. It's done it again. Another way that this can be done is if you've got this running and you've not got the software up on the screen when you're doing it. Then the other way you can do it is if you go down to this little logo here on the taskbar. If you right click on there, then there's an option there to either disconnect, to quit, or to change your IP address. So by clicking there, again, very quickly, you can change your IP address. So yet another great way of accessing the software without any hassle. A few more features on here. Another great feature that's on here, if you're using the software with some kind of automated submission software and you're wanting the software to change the IP address every period of time, then this can be a great feature, because what you can do is you can have a random change of IP address every however many minutes you want to set it at here. In fact, you can even go down to the second, and every time the software has been logged into that IP address for the time period that you set here, it will automatically change and select another fresh IP address that you've not used recently, so that you're always using different IP addresses. You can also select in here, once you've done that, you can also check and verify the IP address that you're using to make sure that the IP address is working. So, for example, there, I've just had a look at what's my IP, and it's come up telling me that the IP address is 78.157.216.243, which, if I just go back to hide my arse, whoops, where is it? There it is. You'll see it's 78.157.216.243, which is what it said there. So it's obviously working. That's an independent, verified confirmation of what your current IP address is. So you can check to see if it's leaking in any way. And over time, if you check it a number of times, you begin to get confidence in what you're doing. In fact, the other thing to note on what I just showed you there is it also says here, no proxy detected. And that's very important, because quite a number of sites, certainly if you're doing internet marketing and you're doing any sort of automated content submission, will stop you from doing submissions if they detect that you're using a proxy server in the process of doing the submissions. So the fact that your use of some kind of way, your use of hide my ass is not actually detectable from the point of view of being a proxy is a good feature to have built into there. So now let me just have a look. What else can I have a look on here? Let's just go through this again. There's also this is another great feature here actually, which is the secure IP bind. Now, this feature is a feature which allows you to set up software on your computer which ordinarily wouldn't interface with this software, but with this hide my ass interface, you're actually able to set it up so that the piece of software isn't able to operate unless hide my ass is operational. So what you do with this is you enable it, and once you've enabled it, what you can do is you can then add various applications to the software. So if you've got a piece of automated software that you want to work with this, then you'd add it here as one of the pieces of software. And as long as that's added there and this facility is enabled, that piece of software will never work on your machine without hide my ass being operational. So you can't accidentally use the piece of software and do a submission and reveal your true IP address, which you may not want to do for whatever reason. So a great feature again. And something that is quite useful, because a lot of software may not have a facility that actually allows them to interface with hide my ass. However, because hide my ass has got a facility onto interface with other pieces of software, it effectively gives you the same thing. And if you use that in conjunction with the IP address settings on this screen, then you can have the hide my ass changing the IP address every period of time, and whilst it's changing the IP address, it'll stop this piece of software from working until it's finished changing, which means that you're getting a constantly refreshing IP address so that you're not doing too many submissions on the same IP address. The speed guide here gives you the distance from the server that you're currently working at. I'm not 16 kilometers from the London server, but the ISP that I'm using obviously is, and so you can see here that the distances to different servers around the world is all highlighted here. And in essence, the further you are away from the server, the slower the service is, generally speaking. I mean, if I just take a selection of these, I can just demonstrate that. So if we take some UK ones, I'll take a couple in France. about a couple in Canada, a couple in the USA, and I'll just go all the way around the world to Australia. Where are they? There we are, Australia. And now if I use the ping test, which is down here, okay, you've got to disconnect that. So disconnect like that. Now we've performed the ping test. Now what it does is it goes out and it checks the speed of them, and as you can see, the ones that are closest are the fastest, generally speaking. In fact, this has worked perfectly, apart from that one there, for some reason, is faster than some of the other ones in the UK, even though I'm in the UK. Then we're going out sort of USA / Canada, approximately the same speeds. I mean, these speeds are in milliseconds, so it's still pretty quick. But you'd notice a slight amount of lag if you use this, well, the Australian one. You'd definitely notice a difference compared to this, because there's almost, it's about 8 or 9 times quicker for me in the UK than the Australian ones. Now, obviously, if you're in Australia or New Zealand or somewhere nearer to Australia, then you're going to find that the Australian servers are much quicker than the UK ones for you. So it means that you can get an idea of the quality of the service that you're going to get from what you do, and it depends on what you're doing online. For some of the stuff I'm doing, it doesn't actually make that much difference whether I use the Australian ones or I use the UK ones, and I've actually used all of them, and the quality of the service has been excellent. So not really too much of a problem there. Now, the other thing that's built into here is, if I just get rid of that, you've also got, I've got to, second, just close that. Right, you've also got the proxy settings here, which allows you to determine what sort of connections that you're using. I always use a direct connection to the internet which is the recommended setting here, but you may decide that you want to use HTTP proxy connection or a SOX proxy connection, in which case you would then select here and save the settings, and that's the way it would work from that point on. As far as price is concerned, amazingly good value for money. I've looked, as I said previously, I've looked at many different services over the years, and some of them can be quite expensive for a very small number of IP addresses without any of the flexibility that you get with Hide My Ass. Hide My Ass at present is working out at $78.66 a year, although there are special offers from time to time, so it is worth checking my website, which I'll tell you about in a minute, for details of any special offers. But they also do a monthly and a 6-monthly rate, which you pay slightly more for, but obviously if you don't want to fork out $78.66 all in one lump, that might be better for your cash flow. Now, to see the latest offers, if you go to my website, which is workwithneilball.com, any special links or offers that are available will be available in the link from my website to the Hide My Ass website, and sometimes there are offers available by clicking that link that you might not get if you were to go directly to the site. So it's worth trying just to see if there's anything available. The other thing about Hide My Ass is that, unlike some other services, you actually do get some customer support, which is a nice thing to have. They've got a forum. You can also communicate with them by sending them an email, and they claim that they'll reply within 12 hours. I've never had a problem with the service, so I've never had to communicate with them. So it's all right having customer service, but the best customer service is never to need it, and I've never needed it. Additional to that, they've also got live chat, which is available 12 hours a day. Now, depending on where you are in the world, that will depend on how those hours synchronize with you, because I think, in fact, I don't even know where Hide My Ass are based, but it'll probably mean that you may have to speak to them at some strange hour if you're at a different time zone. So really, in conclusion, and to wrap this up, Hide My Ass is a fantastic tool which is great for search engine optimization and automated content submitting software. It works really well and provides anonymity It certainly provided the anonymity that I've needed. Never really had a problem with it. Great service, superb. I think this piece of software, this client software that they supply to you, is a great piece of software. Really easy to use, but gives you all the functionality and flexibility that you need, and it's ideal. If you're using another service, quite honestly, it's time to switch. It really is. That I've not found anybody that have anything like as good a service as these. By switching to Hide My Ass, you'll get rid of all the hassle. You'll get more flexibility, just a better quality of service. If you one of the things about this service, obviously I'm using it for sort of a particular type of online activity, which is for sort of search engine optimization and things. You may be using it if you're wanting to stream video or that type of content, then you may find that the quality of the service might not be quite as good as your direct connection, because obviously you might not get quite the bandwidth. But the one thing with Hide My Ass is they don't restrict your own bandwidth. So if the bandwidth is available and it's fast enough for you, then you'll get a good quality of service. There are lots of people using that particular server, then the service might not be quite as good, but you could still download very large files, because I've done it. So you might not be able to get a stream which is as good as you can on your normal connection. However, you would definitely be able to download very big files and use those and view those files. So if you wanted to download a big video to watch or something like that, then it will work very well with that. So really, that's really everything there is to say about this. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to check out the latest discounts, if you click the link underneath the screen, that will take you to my website, which is workwithneilball.com. If you're already on my website and you are ready to get started using this reliable piece of IP changing software, then again, if you click the link below the video, that will take you to the Hide My Ass website, where if there are any special offers, they will have been built into the link for you, so you get the latest and greatest deals, so that you save the most money. And really, that concludes everything about Hide My Ass. There's not much more to say about it, but as you've probably gathered, I'm quite impressed with this piece of software. Thanks for your time, and we'll speak again. Thank you. Bye.